Okay, let's start this dude over. How are you guys today? Welcome to Dr. Kim Live. It is Tuesday. It is the 22nd day of January already. Hopefully we won't have that problem we had, and we'll just kind of start the show over again right now. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. I know there's a lot of bad weather, a lot of people with tons of snow and having to deal with that. We're dealing with some colder weather here in Oklahoma City. It was nice this morning when I got up to work out, but then it's gotten a little colder during the day, and it's supposed to get a lot colder. Gonna go to watch Thunder and the Portland Trailblazers play tonight. So it'll be a cold night outside, but probably heated up inside for that big game tonight. So we're looking forward to that here in OKC. So one thing I was talking about earlier with you guys is just at the first of the year, how many of us try to maybe think, okay, we got some resolutions. Maybe there's some habits that we have we want to break. Maybe some habits we have we want to add to that we think would make our life better. Our pastor's doing a series on habits. Some of the books, a couple of books he recommended. I've read The Power of Habit. I love that book. I love the research in it. I love it how advertisers take advantage of our habits and motivate it. Just a lot of information, plus some really good tools about adding and taking away, adding habits you want to and taking away ones you don't want to have. Atomic Habits is another great read. It's very practical. It makes a lot of sense. If you want to pick up some habits that are going to enhance your life, it's very good at helping you do that. And it's also helping you understand the habits that you have, why you're doing the things you don't want to do, and how to get out of that. Another book that a couple of people in our small group were talking about last week, and that is Switch On Your Brain, 21-Day Brain Detox. I love the book. Basically, for those of us who have toxic thoughts, negative thoughts about ourselves, things that bring us down, to know that we can capture those, we can give them back to God, we can retrain our minds not to have those and experience more joy and peace and things like that. Full of scripture, great book. Recommend all three: The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits, and Switch On Your Brain. Let me know how you like them, okay? Most of the books, as you guys know, I listen to, like both of these books, especially The Power of Habit, and, well, actually with all three of them, you know, the places that I'll mark, I'll stop because I want to go down and make some notes about that. All right, so let's go and talk about the questions that we're going to have today. Sex and Marriage, the basics. If you have questions you want to add, we'd love for you to put them right there on YouTube. And let's go with some that came in earlier. And how often should a married couple have sex? Well, I know the guys are sitting there going every day, and the women are going, don't do that to us. So that's not the way we want to look at sex. We want to look at it as something that enhances our marriages. And I think that's where you kind of land with when you decide about what your frequency is going to be. I think it's a good average is twice a week. Some people do more, some people do less. I get that. You got to find out what works for you. But the key is to talk about it and realize what it does for your marriage. It should be drawing you closer to each other. It should be connecting you more. It should be something you look forward to and enjoy with each other. And if it's not, what do you need to do to get it there? And so then you can kind of come up with what works for you guys. And I know there's things people go through, health problems, all kinds of things can affect it. But just in general, if you're healthy, I think a couple times a week is a good goal to shoot for. All right, another question coming up. Who should initiate sex? I think for most couples that I've worked with over the years, it's usually the husband, the one that initiates the sex. We think about it more, all those kind of things, and so it's on our mind. We're going to initiate it. I think as men, we love it when our wives do, and I think for you ladies to know that it is important that you do that some, because it lets us know that you want us, that you care about us, that you're drawn to us because we can perform sexually well, all those kind of things that go into it. I don't think it really matters to initiate. The main thing is somebody needs to. And if you're waiting for the other person to initiate, quit waiting and initiate yourself. All right. Let's look at this clip.
Sex is a gift that God gave to married couples to enjoy. But unfortunately for many couples, sex often becomes an object of stress and of arguments. Is that the case for you? If so, it may be time to redesign your sexual relationship. Let's talk about some steps that can get you started. First, commit together that you're going to work on this area of your marriage. Then set aside time to build and to work on your sexual relationship. Share with each other what you would like your sexual relationship to be like. Talk about the things that you have allowed to get in the way of having a fulfilling relationship and how you can eliminate those. If you get stuck, find people and resources to help you. There's a lot of great books, a lot of great tools out there. You can check out our online store at iwantanawesomemarriage.com/store. The question really, though, comes down to this. Are you willing to make your sex life better? Are you willing to invest the time it will take? And what will be your first step? It's time to quit fighting about sex and begin building the sexual relationship that God has designed for your marriage.
That's part of a YouVersion plan that we have on the YouVersion app. If you're not familiar with that, it's on. You can get the app right here on your phone, and you can pull it up. You can search for plans. You can put Sex and Marriage, the Basics. You can put my name. You can put Awesome Marriage. It's going to go up. We have over 30-some plans, almost 1 million completions, which is amazing how God's blessed that. So hope you guys enjoy that. Let's look at another question that came in, and if you guys have questions here, I'd love for you to put it, and we'll answer it. All right, this is a tough one. What if one spouse wants to have sex and the other does not? I think I would go back to why they're, if someone doesn't feel good or, they're whatever, man, and if you're having sex on a regular basis, like we talked, a frequency of a couple times a week, then you got to give each other grace in that thing, and don't take that as rejection. If one person continues to not want to have sex over a long period of time, then I think it's time, if you've talked about it, can't resolve it, to get help, and try to get you guys both on the same page. But I think as guys, when we have a stronger drive, there are going to be times when our wives don't feel like it. I know so many women that it's important to them to be there for their husbands, and so they're going to never say no. Whatever you work out together as a couple. But I, in our marriage, if Nancy feels bad or something, I want to know that. I'm not going to take his rejection. Probably early years of marriage I did, but I don't now, and I want her to be healthy and good, and knowing that when she feels good, that's an important part of our life. So hope that gives you guys some answers on that one. Just the whole sexual relationship, I think the whole thing is it's what I see so many times in counseling. Couples don't talk about it, and you got to talk about it. You got to talk about what you like. You got to talk about what you don't like. You got to talk about frequency. You got to talk about things that you feel enhance it for the two of you, and maybe even have some goals in it. Maybe not frequency goals, but maybe you want to spend more time together in that process. Maybe you want to take time where you can take showers together, or baths together, or massage, or some things like that. Not every time, sure, because you may not have time for that, but to put some of those things into it can be very meaningful, very sensual, and something you guys remember and enjoy. All right, let's look at another question. How do you fight about your sex life with your spouse? Well, I think let's talk about the talking part of it first, because we've been kind of hitting at that. One of you needs to say, hey, let's sit down and let's talk about our sex life. Is it where we want it to be? And maybe just start with some questions that aren't threatening. Just where is it? How is frequency for you? How's it for me? Is there a common ground we can have? Are there things happening in it that you want it to happen? Those kind of things. Fighting about your sex life is not good, because that probably keeps you from having sex. So what needs to be resolved there? A lot of times we all bring baggage in. It may be from a previous relationship. It may be from abuse growing up. It could be a lot of things that we bring sexual baggage into our marriage, and those things need to be dealt with. And so if one of you or both of you has some baggage you haven't dealt with, I would encourage you to go to Christian counseling, get that dealt with, so you quit fighting about your sex and your sex life. If there's some things in there that is just unique to the two of you that you're fighting about in the sex life, and you haven't been able to resolve it, I'd get Christian counseling, I'd get help, and see if those things can be resolved. All right, good question. Okay, this next question, is it okay to use sex toys when you're married? Okay, I'm going to answer this, and don't think I'm dodging this. I hope you don't think I am. But if you go back to the very beginning of the Bible, when Adam and Eve were created in the Garden of Eden, as far as we know, they didn't have any sex toys. They had their bodies that God gave them. My feeling is that God gave us enough in our own bodies to completely satisfy us. and more than enough, actually. And so I think what happens is our culture has touted these things, sex toys and stuff. I know some of them have been helpful for couples, like a vibrator or something like that, that might help an orgasm for a woman or things like that. I think you have to be careful with those things, but I think it's got to be something that the two of you decide on together. Now, does God give us a lot of leeway in the sexual relationship? I think He does in marriage. You know, I think there's, if two people are in agreement in something, then God's probably going to be okay with it between the two of them in the sexual relationship in marriage. Just for us, I think that's something that we've never felt was necessary to have sex toys. That God gave us everything we have and all we need. But I'm not saying that if you do choose to do something together that's necessarily wrong. I think it would depend on what you do. But don't let it take the place of the closeness and intimacy that God intended for the sexual relationship. Okay. All right, how can you make your sex life better? One of my favorite books is Celebration of Sex. It's illustrated. It is a Christian author's. It is a book that when it came out, actually Nancy and I got it. It jump-started our sex life. Because of just it gave us some ideas of things that God has created us that we can do in the sexual relationship, positions, things like that. It was helpful. It kind of gave us a new view of it. I think it's a really good book. Anything by Clifford and Joyce Penner is good. They're Christians. They do an incredible job on sex, sexuality, sexual relationship, from helping you work through problem issues to embracing the gift of sex, those kind of things. So I would say reading some of those books together, listening to some of those books together would be really good. And then just being intentional about it. You know, you make it better by, I think it's Kevin Lehman that says it's what you do the other 23 and a half hours of the day that makes the sex life, that 30 minutes, good or bad. I agree with that. So it's how you treat each other, what you do for each other, how you serve each other, the respect you show. All of those things go into making your sex life better, because if that part of your life is good, then sex becomes this great icing on the cake, All right. Last question, unless we have something online. What if your sex life has changed over the years? How do you keep the spark alive? I think a lot of couples deal with that, and it seems the couples I work with, they may be going along really well, and then you get kids. I had one couple that's had 4 kids in 5 years. They had a set of twins within that. They didn't even think about sex that much. I mean, they thought about sex, but, it's like we're too tired. We can't even open our eyes to even look at each other, those kind of things. I get that. There's going to be seasons that are difficult. But I think you can also keep the spark alive. And so, when Nancy and I were dating, early into our dating relationship, I mean, that spark was there. I couldn't wait to see her. I couldn't wait to see her smile. I loved the way she looked at me. I loved looking in her eyes. All those kind of things that we have continued in our marriage. I think a lot of times we get in marriage and we just do the sexual things and we forget some of those other things that bonded us together, like looking in each other's eyes, like talking, like communication, like putting your arm around each other's shoulders and holding hands, and those kind of things that really continue to bond us together. And so I think you want to think back, maybe what are the things that caused the spark when you were dating, or maybe in the early part of your marriage relationship. Can you rekindle one of those? Can you bring one of those back in? Yes, we're going to change. Life seasons are going to make our sex life different. But I think if you have to be intentional about showing your spouse your love, your attraction, your desire for them. All those things are really, really important. Okay? All right, no questions. Looks like we don't have any questions over there. So don't forget about the YouVersion plan of Sex and Marriage, the Basics Part 2. It's a 4-part plan, great plan to read together. And if you're listening to this today and you're thinking, man, we need something to jumpstart our sex life, that'd be a great thing to do, great place to do that. There's a video, there's some text, some scriptures to help you with each one of those. 14 Keys to Lasting Love is out. It's available almost everywhere. Barnes & Noble has it. Books A Million, all the online places. Target has it online. We're so excited about that they've joined us with this book. So all those good things are there because I know a lot of you guys like Target. Good place. So hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with another Dr. Kim Live right here on YouTube.